Good morning, evening, or afternoon. I am your esteemed host, Cole MacheneDog Miller, and today we are back with another episode of the College Gamer's Melting Pot. Today's episode is on the Nintendo Switch 2. So get a drink, get a snack, get comfortable, and enjoy. The first topic of today is, should people buy the Nintendo Switch 2? This entry says, not at this price, but we all cave anyway. Another says, nah. And for this entry, I think this person actually asked me to remake a song for them. How about you do it? Eh? Think about that. Instead of asking Cole to do all the work, huh? So this next entry says, if you don't, you are admitting that you aren't in the 1%. Another says, oh baby, you'd better buy it. You better buy it, son. Another one says, I think people should, but it sucks how pricey it is. And this installment says, of course, people should buy the Nintendo Switch 2. Rich people. They should buy hundreds of them and then resell them on eBay at a more appropriate price. It's called altruistic scalping. This entry says, the price for the system is reasonable, but the games are overpriced. That being said, I'm sure that 90% of the people upset by the game's prices will still be buying the system anyways. Another entry says, depends if prices rise due to tariffs. This entry says, if they want to. And the final entry says, fuck no. Our next topic is thoughts on Mario Kart World. This person says, looks better than 8. This entry states, I hope that this open world plays like Burnout Paradise, with fun collectibles to find throughout the map. I also hope it has a radio station with Alice in Chains and Avril Lavigne, just like Burnout Paradise. I hope I said that name correctly. This entry states, they peaked at Mario Kart Wii. In fact, they peaked with the Wii in general. Another states, open world exploration looks very fun, and it's great that there are so many character options. I'm not sure how I feel about the wall jumping mechanic. It looks like it kills your kart's momentum. This user says, epic swag. Another user states, 24 racers and new tracks? Let's go! Not too sure how I feel about the open world idea, though. Instead of making Kirby Air Riders, they should have just added Kirby to the game instead of cows and fish bones. Another user states, they're letting you play as Fishbones now, Lamau. And this entry says, looks dope. Not $90 dope. But hey, at least we get to play as a cow and a fish and drive on walls. This entry says, I'm the king of the highway. And another states, did anyone catch the fact that you can play as a cow and the cow can eat steak? Truly, we are living in the future. And our final entry says, I think it looks super cool. The new characters are going to be fun, and I like all of the new maps. The next topic is thoughts on Donkey Kong Bonanza. This individual says, makes me go bananas. And this one states, game looks super fun, but why is DK in suspenders and pants? He still has no shoes or shirt, so he still can't get service. Another says, actually looked pretty cool. And this entry says, DK, Donkey Kong, DK, Donkey Kong is here. This individual says,
Monkey.
and this person says, what are your thoughts on it, Cole? I'm not allowed to have opinions. Don't tell anyone that. They're keeping me here. This individual says, could be fun. And this one states, real excited, and I'm not even a DK fan. The game looks beautiful, and the mechanics look so fun. I loves me a game that allows you to destroy your environment. It's just so satisfying. Another states, instead of getting Cappy from Odyssey, Donkey Kong gets Scalpy, which is him peeling his scalp off and throwing it at enemies to control them. This user says, from what I saw, I think it'll be good, but I wish it was multiplayer. And finally, this individual states, I'd shower you with coconut cream pies. Our next topic is thoughts on Kirby Air Riders. Our first entry says, no clue what that is. This like Airbud? Bit fan of that. The next user says, boring. Kirby has so many fun and cool games from back in the day, and you reboot Kirby Air Rider? Not the Dreamland games or the Amazing Mirror? Terrible idea. 0 out of 10. The next entry says, Sakurai directing means that either we're not getting a new Smash Bros. In a year, or someone new is directing it. Our next entry states, probably a good get drunk with the boys game. And the next individual says, I have no nostalgia for the game myself, so I'll have to see more. Happy for Kirby fans, but I hope the game isn't overshadowed by the new Mario Kart for their sake. Another entry says, neat. And another states, if this game is online multiplayer, we will be so back. This user says, Kirby can ride on my Air Rider any day. This individual says, sick. And finally, this individual states, a second Kirby has hit the towers. Our next topic is thoughts on Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This user says, looks actually good. Another states, having played Prime 3 in the ye olden days of the Wii, I'm glad they're finally getting around to making the game. This entry says, I don't know, I've never played a Metroid game. This person says, gotta be honest, I've never thought Prime games looked good. I don't want to play Baby Mode Doom. This individual says, not too keen on women in video games, to be honest. This individual says, I am glad that Nintendo has a good looking 4K game. I just hope the mouse Joy-Con function feels comfortable to use. I think that will be a big factor in how much fun this game will be to play. What? This person says, lame. And this individual states, if they don't have as good of music as they did in Prime 1, it's dead in the water. Another entry says, Samus looks like a Lamborghini. And this user says, need a Zero Suit reveals first. Not sorry, Reese's. Our second to last topic is thoughts on From Software exclusive for the Switch. The first entry states, boggles the mind that Sony just doesn't make Bloodborne 2, but at least we have this. Another says, with this, Nintendo has collected another Infinity Stone. Soon they will be unstoppable. They will win the console war once and for all. This user says, Duskblood looks like a great starting title for the Switch 2's older audience, and is a big step up from Zombie U. Also, please add one of these characters to Mario Kart World. It would be so funny. This person says, Chicken Jockey. Another says, don't most games come from software? Shake my head. This person says, great idea. If you like terrible games. Just kidding, I don't know, I'm not a nerd. This individual says, clean up on aisle, my jorts. And this entry says, so excited for legally distinguishable Bloodborne 2. This one says, I think Ryan came in his pants and then sent me the trailer the moment it dropped at 9 a.m. And this person says, huh? All right, and our final topic of the day, thoughts on Pokemon Legends ZA. This individual states, play a respectable, real Virgins game like Magic the Gathering. This entry says, hyped, but sad I'm gonna have to spend $550 to play it. This entry, in contrast to the previous one, says, still looking good, glad it's not a Switch 2 exclusive. This person says, add a PIZ to the front, and you can count me in. Yummers! They didn't say yummers, they just said yum. I thought it would be funny. Is that me having opinions? Shit. Anyways. This user says, looks decent. Also, when you choose your starter, do the other two get sent to the gulag? Where do they go? Do they go straight to hell? This person says, yippee! This individual states, I don't know, I'm not a big Pokemon fan. No thoughts, head empty. This entry says, being able to sneak attack trainers as Pokemon and win money from battling them is basically mugging. It's cool that they're pulling more from the French roots of Lumos City. This user says, glad I can get the game on the original Switch. Just hope that there are lots of trainer customization options early on, because the base outfits for the protagonists have zero drip. And finally, this person says, it looks so much better on the Switch 2. Hard to think of it as a Switch game. And with that, the pot is empty. I hope all of you have enjoyed today's episode of The Melting Pot. And I will see you in the next installment. Bye-bye.